Hey folks, this is Jake Davis with an on-the-fly review for you. Today I'm talking about the Many Saints of Newark, released last Friday, directed by Alan Taylor, and starring Alessandro Nivola, Leslie Odom Jr., Ray Liotta, Vera Farmiga, and Corey Stoll. No, I'm forgetting somebody there. And Michael Gandolfini as a young Tony Soprano. Of course, this is a prequel to the hit HBO series The Sopranos, which ran for 8 years in between 1999 and 2007. Yes, show's on for 8 years and it's been off the air for 14 years. However, its fandom is still very, very strong. It's still very much a part of pop culture, very much part of the zeitgeist. Still a very, very popular and talked about and beloved show, even a decade and a half after its last episode aired. So there was definitely demand for some more Tony Soprano, and more World of the Sopranos. But that's the thing, okay, me on a personal level, I didn't hate the show. I didn't dislike the show at all. It's a good show. But I just never really got into it, to be honest with you. To me, the best thing that came out of the show was the rest of the world found out about James Gandolfini. I had been a fan of the guys maybe for 6 or 7 years earlier. I mean, movies like True Romance and a really silly action thriller called Terminal Velocity that he's the villain in. It just makes a movie watchable. He's just so good in it. Add on to that, the problem with the show, the really kind of reason I was hesitant to even give a shit about it when it first came on, was there was a comedy that came out like the exact same time the show started. I mean, like literally, it was like the same month, I think. It was that close. Where it was Tony Soprano was where it's Robert De Niro and Billy Crystal. And it's the exact same premise. It's a gangster going through on the verge of a nervous breakdown, and yeah, it was hard to take Sopranos seriously. What I've seen from the series, I kind of liked. I didn't really care much for Tony's domestic life. That was really where the show always kind of dragged for me, and I could really give a shit. Like I don't care about his daughter, I don't care about his wife. I just want to get to the gangster shit. And coming to this movie now, this movie takes place in the late 1960s, early 1970s, and it focuses on Dickie Maltesani, who is Chris's father, Tony's uncle Chris, the Michael Imperioli character. And I guess I should just assume you know the show. Anyhow, there's stuff like Paulie, the old man, eccentric weirdo old man, is he's younger in here and stuff like that, and you really get the idea of where Tony Soprano's what's the word I'm looking for, his code as a gangster, his limits, his motivations, all this kind of thing come from his relationship with his uncle. His father, who's, by the way, played by John Bernthal, who's always terrific. He's just a total douchebag. Alessandro Nivola, I thought he was good in it, but, it took this guy nearly 20 years to find one role he was good for. He's not going to be a leading man. He's not going to be a breakout movie star, and I just don't think he has that kind of charisma. Corey Stoll was terrific in this as Junior. Probably the best performance in the movie, Ray Liotta playing dual roles of twin gangster brothers, one locked up, one, the Big Papa, Maltesani. And Vera Farmiga. You see, look here. Vera Farmiga is genuinely one of the most beautiful women I have ever seen in my life. But I don't really think she can act. I never really have. I mean, please, by all means, put her in as many movies as you can possibly can. But I've always felt that for the exception of, is it Elaine Warren? I'm blank. No, Elaine Warren's that. The Warrens. She in the Conjuring movies, for exception of that part, I've always kind of felt that she's over the top and just quick to be super melodramatic, and especially in this, the completely unnecessary and distracting giant fake nose they put on her. It's you can tell that she's one of those actors that's always kind of looking at themselves in the camera. You know what I mean? I never really cared for that. But anyhow, overall, I thought The Many Saints of Newark was an entertaining gangster film. I liked it had some cold, shocking violence in there. It had some good gangster characters. Had some moral dilemmas, it seemed to have set up some. Painfully obviously, trying to set up a prequel series for HBO Max. Like, that's the real whole purpose this movie exists. So we can get Black Sopranos on HBO Max next year. But, I mean, ultimately, I think this movie is not that bad, but just kind of feel like gangster movies have become a very, very predictable formula, and have been kind of stuck in that rut since like the mid-90s. And it's not like, gangster movies. Well, gangster movies have been around a long time. Fuck, you ever see The Racket from 1927? I have. It's a fucking terrific gangster movie. Other gangster movies have been around since we've had movies, motherfucker. And it's I'm glad to see they're still popular. People still like them. But I personally feel that we need something new, something fresh. I don't know what that would be. But everything, and I mean everything, no matter if it's Bryan Cranston as an undercover Fed, or that movie about the snitch and who ratted out Freddie Hampton, or any of these things that come around the board, it all just feels like Goodfellas, and that's a shame. Even the one Scorsese does, especially the one Scorsese does. It's just, So overall, I'm going to give it 3 stars, because it's not bad. It's actually quite fun, and it moves pretty well. In fact, to be fair, and I don't usually say this is a movie that could have used a longer runtime. I think another 15, 20 minutes to help develop more of the characters, especially the relationship between Tony and Uncle Dickie, would have helped the movie. But yeah, 3 stars, a recommended watch, but no, it's not great. I'm Jake Davis, and I'll catch you on the fly.